Hello, this is Victor at RestoreYourMercedes.com. This video is for Ray in Missouri. So we have this door lock pump S320, 98, 99 models. So they're pretty much same, just 98, 99 models. They're different from 97 to 95, and then we have 94 to 92. So this is the last revision. So what we have here is the pump fixed. It was one of these. This is the worst pump I ever had actually in my life. I actually spent about 8 hours working on this thing, so believe it or not, it never takes me this long. But basically what happened here is the motor itself was burnt up, right? So just explain real quick. So this is the original. Actually, the motor is new, and this is the original piece that came out from this pump. Now, the motor was bad, obviously burnt up, so I put the new motor in. Alright, so I tried to check the pressure. It won't create pressure. I mean, it would create pressure and vacuum, but it was not high enough. So, the problem with that was this middle section and veins inside this ceramic section here. Those were worn to a point where I tried to polish it and clean it and this and that. It just still did not help. So this is original that came from this pump. As you can see, 1998 made, 3rd month of 1998. The one I put in there, I had to replace it. I couldn't do it because it just would not work. The one I put in there is made in 2007, so this is a much better version than what you have in this one. Obviously less wear. The vanes, I had to flip them so I have better contact with the middle section, that middle section where they slide against to create pressure and vacuum. So the seal became much better and pressure became fine. Next problem, well, the hose. This hose was not holding on, so I had to replace the hose. Okay, fine. Well, here is also a new motor, by the way. Next problem, I didn't have vacuum. The vacuum would come up and then it would just like drain out, and it would just leak, and then the pump would cycle. So I had to open up the valves and get those valves cleaned up, polish them off and whatnot. So there's membranes in there, so I got that done. Then after all that, the shut-off valve would not shut down. I was like, gosh, give me a break. And so I took it apart and I readjusted it, and now finally, final version after all these hours, it is working the way it should. So what I'm gonna show you is the operation now. So this normal operation, that's how they're all supposed to be. We have our pressure tank, we have our vacuum storage tank. For vacuum storage, I only have a piece of hose. There is actually a reservoir, and the engine vacuum is also connected to this port, so it helps with vacuum. The pressure storage tank, as you can see, is just a bottle. This is going to be visual. You're going to see the bottle inflate, and it will create back pressure to shut down the pump. The gauge is connected to central locking, so we're going to see 0.5 to negative 0.5. This is where the span has to be, because the original motor would barely go to 0.2. That's not enough. The pump will not shut down and it will continue running. Maybe door locks might work, but the pump is going to burn, because the motor is going to burn, because it does not reach shut-off point. And that I cannot adjust. I could have adjusted, but it's just not right. It's just, you can't do it. It just has to be the way it has to be. So right now it's good. We're going to put the power on. So I'm gonna power supply over here. So basically right now it's duplicating ignition on. So let's put the power on. Let's see what happens. Now you heard the difference in tones. The first noise was to create pressure. Second one was to create vacuum. Because our vacuum storage tank is basically non-existent, it's just a piece of pipe plugged up, it shut off fairly fast because it's just so low vacuum to create. In reality, it might run much longer in increments, and if the engine is running, it's going to help with vacuum. So right now the pump should be quiet. Once this vacuum storage tank and pressure storage tank they're both filled up, the pump will shut off and it will remain off. That's important. That's how it's supposed to be. Next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna check the central lock-in pressure and vacuum. So I use the trunk actuator for that, because that's the best demonstration of overall pressure and vacuum created by the pump. So let's get that energized. As you can see, it jumps to 0.5 to lock the vehicle. It jumps to 0.5 to unlock the vehicle. And as you can see, the speed of it, quick, very nice, because much better vanes and overall pump internals are installed. 2007, you know, so that's much younger, 10 years younger from what it was. So that's our pressure and vacuum for central lock-in circuit. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug up our trunk lock actuator, and we're going to do the next test, and that's going to be our remote trunk release. Let's get that done. As you can see, remote trunk release 0.5, exactly where it has to be. Now this very port, this port right here also does rear headrests. Those headrests, if it would be, if the rear headrests, if it's S320, they're vacuum operated. S500s, S600s, they're electric. So these headrests can only be folded backwards. They're down. They just to make them go down. So we're gonna check them out right now if they're gonna go down. Let's see, vacuum 0.5. Now don't mind, the gauge is a little screwed up, as you can see. It doesn't move to where it has to be, but in reality 0.5 is more than enough to make those rear headrests to drop down. This particular car has them, so you can raise them up manually, but to lower them you have to have this pump working so they can drop back down. And last is our trunk handle. It's the handle that extends out of the trunk lid, so you can grab it to open and close the trunk so you don't get your hands dirty. Now that was pressure to extend the handle out. That's vacuum to actually pull handle back in. Again, that was pressure to extend it, vacuum to release it back. As a matter of fact, let me unlock the vehicle because it keeps locking it. Okay, unlocked. So as we can see, everything is operational. The pump is not cycling. It will cycle because of the, you know, once in 5 minutes, once in like maybe 3-4 minutes. But again, once engine is running, the vacuum is gonna help it to not cycle. But right now, the way it is, this is just where they all are. This is nice. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay, well, I think that's about all right now. This is a long video, I know, but this really picked my brain with like a surgical knife. So I got it done. It's good to go. The only reason why I spend all these hours on it, because these are most expensive pumps and they're very hard to find. And obviously, you find a used one, the motor is going to be already old, so obviously it's not going to last. So these ones you have to do, and that was the vacuum storage actually pumped up right now. So these you have to fix, otherwise you're gonna get the used one. It's gonna last you a couple of months. You're gonna waste you like $600 on it, and you know, in a few months $600 is not worth it for the used one. A new one is like $2,000 at the dealer or something. That's ridiculous money. So every used pump will have old motor. So old motors, after 20 years of service, do not last. So, and as right now, it's pretty cold still. Put this motor back in because it's supposed to be actually there. There are some sort of suction cups, and then also when the case goes back in, there is an extra support here to hold the motor in place. And I also changed the motor cables. Okay, and it's actually, after all these operations, it's actually pretty cold. So this is actually very good. I can hold my hands, I can hold the actual pump and I'm not getting burned, so that means it works nice and easy and good to go. Obviously I cleaned the board, I cleaned the valves, three valves, and so forth, so on. Okay, so good to go. So let's wrap this up. This is it. This is all working condition pump, ready to go. This is Victor at RestoreYourMercedes.com. Thank you for watching.